All right, welcome everybody. So glad to have you on this special Wiser special edition for May 2024. It's such a joy to have you live right now on this show or this channel. It's such a joy to have you. So right about now, let's can you tell us where you're watching from, where you're streaming from? Let's know where exactly you're being a part of this with us. Right in the comment section, drop the fire emojis, drop all you have to drop. I can see you on our Victoria. Yeah, Wiser Nation, glad to have you here. This is the 6th of May, and you're doing magic right here on YouTube. Yeah, good morning, Kumbi. Glad to have you. This is how it is. Olatomi Sodipo, sorry, glad to have you here. Yeah, Wiser family, I can see the energy in the comment section. This is actually on the live chat. This is how it should be. So right now, greet everybody, greet the family members, greet everybody right about now. Tell us where you're streaming from. Let's know where exactly you're a part of this live edition from. What city? Abuja. I can see you. Doris Ace. I can see you. Let us know where exactly you are. Are you in Canada? Are you in the UK? Are you in South Africa? Are you in Nigeria? Are you in Berlin? Wherever it is. Yeah. Good morning. Udoka Isioma. Yes, I can see you. Thank you for being a part of this special edition right in May. Yeah, this is actually what this is family I know. This is the wiser family I know, or the wiser nation I know. Yeah. So right about now, yeah, Benue State Makurdi. Wow, this is a lot. Glad to have you here. And all right, Lagos, Abuja, everybody, glad to have you here. Also, before today's gonna be a very great time because we are deep diving into the top chapter of the book of called Seven Habits of Highly Successful People by Stephen Covey, which is one of the phenomenal books we've read or we've been studying this entire year. So it's very much about how you can speed track your life of productivity. I can see you, Udoka Iziama from Enugu, Nigeria. This is amazing. Sorry about now. We'll be deep diving into the book. We'll be particularly chapter three of it, where we'll be sharing this things in detail. Sorry about now. We would like you to please share the link with everybody around your circle. We'll give you about a minute or two. So right about now, copy the link. There's a share button right on your screen if you're watching from YouTube. I don't know what platform you're streaming from, but mostly YouTube definitely. So you would have to tap on the share button, copy the link, share it to your Instagram, share it to your WhatsApp, to your Telegram communities, to your friends, families, everybody in your circle. Let them come to let's come together and have this early morning of or this merriment right about now. So invite everybody to come be a part of this party. It actually is a party in the sense that there's so much to be learned, so much to take out, and it's going to put you what's it called? Going to put you on the right pace to win in May 2024 and beyond. Right about now, do well to share the link, invite everybody, share it to your communities, your WhatsApp status, your Telegram communities, your Instagram stories, everybody. You can even do a quick email broadcast. Please do it right about now. So do it as soon as you really can, and let's get started. It's gonna be a very quick one, as it's gonna be very well power packed. So right about now, I would like to invite my co-facilitator. So my name is Chris Ogechi. I'm the CEO of Kappa Click, and today I'm one of the persons leading this session with you. I'm not alone. In this case, I have a phenomenal person, the name of Michael Nwankwo, and it's going to be a great time. I'm sharing the stage with him and demystifying this complex conversation as regards putting first things first. Right about now, let me read this profile. So, Michael Nwankwo is a passionate advocate for personal growth, followed by a lifelong fascination with human potential. As a trained coach, he empowers individuals to unlock their selves and navigate the exciting path of self discovery. His journey began with a deep interest in personal development, leading leading him to pursue extensive training in coaching techniques. Yeah. Now he leverages his expertise to guide people in achieving their goals, overcoming challenges, and building fulfilling lives. Um, he's an enthusiastic cheerleader who ignites a fire for self improvement within everyone he meets. So, right about now, I would like us to call forth with the fire emojis, with the love, with the likes, with everything you can. Let's welcome to the stage Michael Nwankwo.
Hey, Chris.
This
it's
is it. This
such
is it.
it's such a blessing to be here. It's such a blessing to be here. I'm so glad to be here this morning. Thank you, Chris. Thank you for the
Yeah.
warm welcome. Wiser
No, come on.
Nation. Good morning, everybody. Good afternoon. Good evening, wherever you're tuning in from. It is such a blessing to be here, and I'm happy. You know, we are getting to do this to sharing some very interesting wisdom nuggets from the book from Stephen
Sure.
Covey's book. Yeah, so it's going to be an awesome time. We just let's just fly with it. It's going to be a great time.
All right.
Over to you,
Let's
Chris.
hit the
Yes,
ground running. Let's hit the ground running.
yes,
All right, so it's gonna be a quick one, and we'll make sure it's as efficient as possible. In the sense that we want to not just have convos around the book we read, the book we've been studying, but it's about how can you take this to market? How can you implement this thing in your life? And in 24 hours, you have results for what you've learned. And that's what we're taking through right now. So by the end of this conversation, we are very certain that you will know your next major step after this conversation. That is
absolutely,
what we're starting about. So, right
absolutely.
about now, we'll start with the very first one. So, in the book, there's something about self leadership and being able to prioritize. First of all, the chapter says first things first. The chapter says putting first things first. Yeah, I can see it's putting first things first. So, right about now, um, before you put first things first, I think there's something called self leadership. You have to really put first before you even start putting your tasks and deliverables. So right about now, what's the connection between self leadership and proper prioritization? Just go ahead and give us what you think about it and what's exactly your nuggets for this
Okay,
topic.
thank you so much, Chris, and thank you once again. I'm happy to be here, everyone. I'm seeing the chats and it's blowing up. Thank you, everyone, for tuning
Yeah,
in.
we can see it.
So it's
We can see
such
it.
a good time again. So yeah, concerning the question you asked, you see the book we are studying, Stephen Covey is one of the big names when you talk about self development and when you come to the
Yeah,
self
yeah.
development. Yeah, so there's a particular order in which he has put the topics of this book, which I find very interesting because of course, it being what it does, of course, he knows the steps and the guides. Because and if you read the book, you'll see that he has implemented a lot of the things which he's talking about in the book, which and you know this by some of the his personal stories that he has put into the book. The first one talked about being, the first chapter talked about being self-aware. You know, coming from a place where you don't know who you are to the place where you now understand the kind of person you are and how to navigate your own way rather than being acted upon. You are now the one acting and being in charge of yourself. And then he went further to talk about imagination. Of course, when you have become self-aware, it doesn't end there. You now have to
Mm,
extend, because just being self-aware is not that's not the goal, because there's something more.
mm.
That's not the
Remarkable.
goal.
Yeah.
Just being self-aware is not just the goal. There's something more. There's something to look forward to. So it gives that the imagination he was talking about in the chapter 2 has you think, setting goals for yourself and looking forward to something, giving you something to pursue after. And then we now come to this chapter we're talking about, which is putting first things first. And this is very interesting because he went from chapter 1, chapter 2, and then in the chapter 3 he's talking about putting first things first. You now ask, okay, why is this not the first thing? Or why is chapter
Yeah,
1 not the
yeah.
first thing? Stuff like that. But it's interesting. So this is
Okay.
because first things first is all about, the essence of all we are doing today is just about effective self-management, how to manage yourself
Mm,
properly, so that you can get the results you want at the end of the day. So that is why it is. He wasn't wrong when he said it's the first things first, the first thing first, because this is actually the first thing first. For you to make progress, for you to move from one step to another, there has to be an effective management system that you have in place to help you to achieve that. So putting the two together, you see that there is no way you can go from point A to point B without having proper self management. And when it comes to prioritizing, this is when you now say, okay, having become self aware, you now have a goal in mind. Then it doesn't end there. There has to also be proper self management, because if you cannot manage yourself well, there is practically nothing you can do, or there's little you can achieve without proper self management.
Yeah.
So,
All right.
over to
I
you,
think
Chris.
you really, yeah, you know this because it all stems from you knowing who you are and what exactly your superpowers and knowing what exactly you're trying to get to. If
Yeah,
not, you'll be
absolutely.
told around by the wind. There's this story our parents told us when we were growing, about the tortoise and the hare. I don't know if you had the story, but where there was a race, and as you know, the hare is one of the fastest land animals for its size. I think it does about 80 kilometers per hour. So in this story, he did say that the tortoise and as you know, the tortoise is really quite a slow animal. That it doesn't run so fast; it just moves at its own pace. But in this case, there was a race, and by the end of the race, the tortoise won, and that's like an abnormally because by default the hare should really win because it has more speed.
Yeah.
But in the course of the race, the hare got distracted to other things, while the
Mm.
what's it called, the tortoise got persistent to the end. And I think that's something I think that also talks about self leadership in the sense that when you know where you're going, you have this sense of clear cut direction and you know why exactly you're trying to go to get to it. So for the most part is when you have a clear motive driving what you really want to do, it makes more sense. Um,
Yes.
though people say for business they just want to make money, but if your motive goes beyond making money, I think you stay the long run for it.
Yes.
Because when you make your first money, you just want to go out, but it, having a sense of self leadership makes you think long term. So in this case, the tortoise won. It took him longer time, but he still won because he just knew if I keep doing these things every day or this working at this pace, I'm pretty sure I'm gonna win. And the guy that has the fastest advantage or the best advantage lost his focus. So to everybody watching right now, I think it's something to take seriously. What gets you distracted? What is it that makes you lose your step or your footing? It could be that you really have not looked into yourself to say, okay, who exactly am I? What am I trying to do with my life and myself? If you have this clarified, I think it's going to save you a lot of stress. In fact, it will help you consolidate your efforts to grow because I'm doing this for this. There's even a story about people that just went extreme just because they want to give their children a better life. So when they had their children on the line, they're like, I'll make sure my kids don't go through what I went through. And that was their defining motivation. So the first thing is what really defines your drive for what you do. Then that will now take us down to how to really prioritize what will take us there. So I think this takes us to the next question about the four quadrants, of which Michael, you have the mic here. So the four quadrants is very much about a systemic way to prioritizing our lives. Now you figured out what your superpowers are, what your motivations are, what your drives are, and you've been able to say, okay, I want this done because of this, right? How do we go about starting with proper prioritization? The book says put in first things, or the chapter says, sorry, put in first things first. So right about now, what do we do? Just help us break down the four quadrants by Stephen Covey.
All right. Thank you, Chris. Excuse me. So, the four quadrants are uh, is just like a table kind of arrangement for tax optimization that was
Yeah.
Sirikovi explained in the book. And, he made a couple of arguments, or he stated a couple of things that I find very interesting. First of all, these four quadrants are, of course, quadrants one, two, three, and four. And
The
like I
four.
said before, the whole idea of this, what we are doing here today, is how to manage self. And if you look at the four quadrants, you would when we talk about the four quadrants now, you see how this comes into how this matches with what we are talking about. So the first quadrant is
Okay.
will contain tasks that are urgent and important. The
Mm.
second quadrant will contain tasks that are not urgent but they are important. Then the third quadrant contains tasks that are urgent but not important, and the fourth one contains tasks that are not urgent and not important. You see, urgent importance is a common phenomenon in all the boxes, boxes. Yeah. So, but you see, for one, it is urgent and not important. For the other, it's urgent and important. So, which would now be a priority? You see, the first quadrant is urgent and important, which is we are humans and things are bound to happen. Things are bound to happen, on a daily basis. There are things that will come your way that you're not even expecting. For instance,
Mm.
a family member might fall ill, maybe a spouse, a friend, or a child, that's close to somebody might fall ill. That is an urgent, situation that needs to be
Yeah,
attended to. Yeah. So
it is. Yeah.
these are some of the things that comes into the first quadrant. But there are some things that comes into that first quadrant too that are not as important. eh, important, but if we prioritize properly, they might not come into that first quadrant. For instance, like the Stephen Covey talked about, he made instance of picking up a phone. So this is very interesting because when I read that part, I was like, oh, this is true. And we
Yeah.
almost everybody is guilty of this. So you're in the middle of something very important. Let's say, okay, let me use myself as an instance. I write, so I'm in the middle of my writing, and you see there's that thing you do, and I want everybody to listen to this very carefully now, because when you are
Mm.
doing something and you have come into that flow state. So you see that the flow state is where you have started, you are in the flow of what you are doing, like you have been engrossed in it, and what you are doing is just at the moment is very seamless. It's just flowing, and the thought process is going on very clearly, and you're just doing what you're doing. So the thing you don't need at that point is any kind of distraction. So at that point in your flow state, your phone rings, and you look at the phone ringing. It's one friend from maybe your gist partner that that conversation will do nothing but just take away the time, and you just begin to talk about things, a lot of things that probably might not be what you need at that time. But how friends do chit chatting and all those kind of things. You look at the phone
Yeah.
and you see it's ringing. That friend. So you have two options: speak or not to pick. You have either to pick and to tell the person, okay, I'll get to you later. Please, I'm in the middle
I'll
of
get back
something.
to
Or
you.
you
Yeah.
yeah, or you pick and just leave aside what you're doing and get on with the conversation. So a lot of times, the friend is this a G, this a friend. You pick up the phone and you see you begin to talk about whatever you're talking about, and leaving the tasks you have at hand, you know,
Mm.
that you would have accomplished at that point in time. So you see, you have now taken that picking the phone call as a priority at that point in time. To you now, it is urgent and important. But actually, if you look at it very critically, you would have let go of that conversation to finish what you're doing before you now get back to the conversation. You see, so that's this whole process now comes into the first quadrant, which actually is not supposed to be there. But if you talk about the second quadrant now, there are things that are urgent and not urgent but important. So these things are important, but they are not urgent. So there are tasks that you can take time out to work on them, and get them done properly. This doesn't take you. This doesn't. There's no hassle. There's no fear. There's no urgency to it. It's just okay. This is what I'm doing now. Okay, I just have to. You are calm. You're in a cool state, and you're doing what you're doing. You know.
Mm.
So and these are most times these are tasks that would even give you an edge with whatever you're trying to pursue, your goal, your business, whatever, anything you want to do. This quadrant contains those tasks that will help you do these things. But it's now the third quadrant is not urgent, urgent but not important. So you have to do them then, but they are not important. For instance, okay, I want to go see a friend, or a friend just called me. I want to go see him. It's okay. It sounded urgent that he's calling me, but it's something that is not so important at the moment. So quadrant 3, quadrant 4 actions or tasks can be let go, and some of these tasks also you can, of course, for instance, now these tasks, if you cannot meet up with a friend at that time, you can send somebody to say, okay, please check out this person for me, let me know what's going on with him because I just got a call from him or something. You can delegate task, for the
Definitely,
ones
definitely.
you want, the ones you know that you are not able to meet up at that time, especially when you prioritize properly, you can delegate tasks, to help you achieve all of this. So you see, and these are very, very important steps we need to take if we really want to make progress, because you can't just be all over the place when you are in the middle of a task, somebody brings something to you. Oh, okay, I'm going to handle it. You leave the one you're doing and you get on with it. You're
All right.
saying you are the, what would I call this now? You are the oh yes person. Anything that comes is a yes. Any task that comes is a yes. Anything that comes is a yes. You say yes to everything. That is not the way to go. That is not the way to go.
Okay.
So yeah, what's you?
All right. All right. Thank you for this. And I was called deep dive into the four quadrants. Thank you for this. I think you've been able to spy into the next question. I wanted to ask also the discussion question. It's about what's it called? How to um, time management and everything. But let me just give context to this. So right about now, if you have questions, please drop them in the comment section so we can answer them. We have about 5 minutes for it, so we have ample time to answer the questions. Right about now, drop your questions, drop your thoughts, so we can actually know you're part of this conversation. So I remember something happened to me lately. Was it last week, where someone said, "Chris, can I jump on a call with you?" And as I was very much into something, I would not. I really cannot jump on a call with that person. But this person is someone I really respect and really take quite seriously. But I know if I take on this call, I could spend the next 3 4 hours on this call with this person. And I figured out something about myself. Literally, I I have a way. I'm not a chitty chatty person. I like to write things in bullet points and just give you back, back, back. This is what I'm talking about. But when I jump on a call with you, I could literally spend more time with you. I just believe if I have to do a call with you, you deserve that clarity of conversation. So I figured out that's one of my kryptonite. I don't know if you watch Spider Man, yeah. So that was
Yeah,
something that actually weakened him. So
yeah,
for me, that was one of my kryptonite. I don't like to jump on calls with people because I could probably end up oversharing or trying to just make sure I pass too much knowledge, right? So I rather want to just text you and just give you, I think you should do this, this, and this. Okay. So in this case, and that's why I actually said, okay, sorry, I can't do calls right now. I have a meeting. I'm preparing for something. I won't be able to. And then I think there was a board meeting I was trying to just put things together for. So I definitely can jump on that call. I just send me what exactly it is you want to see about, then I will just drop my thoughts and we'll go that way. So I think that's also a probably wonderful way to just prioritize because as far as you these are important, they're not that important or they're not as urgent as it is. But if you let it go, you may actually start having terrible relationships. So knowing how to just give everybody what they want, not like what they want per se, but just knowing where to put everybody and focus
yeah,
on what really matters. So I think from that book, the second quadrant is like the most pivotal or critical content. What's it called? Quadrants where it's not urgent and it's important because in that space you can create, you can take out time to analyze and build what really works. But if everything is always fire brigade approach for you, you definitely make mistakes. So I think that's what the summary of the quadrant is about. And if you really have to go with whichever comes to mind, please always choose the second quadrant. Find a way to make sure what you're working on is not urgent and important in the sense that you have time to deliberate on it and also you have a clear cut execution strategy. I think that answers it. Thank you for I see the comments right about now. Thank you so much. Urgent and important. Yeah, definitely. Thanks for following the entire conversation. So please drop your questions, drop your the inquiries if that's what it is. So definitely we'll answer it at the end of this conversation. Yeah, yeah. Saying yes to everything is not the way to go. I see you, Honor Victoria. You're killing it. You're killing it. So right now, that's the next one is about time management and setting realistic boundaries. I think some people have peeped into no. So right about now, how how do we have an efficient time management? At the same time, how do we set realistic boundaries? Like saying a no, I think is one of the ways to set realistic boundaries. But at the same time, I'd like you to just go deep into this lane, Michael, and just tell us how do we time manage and also how do we set realistic boundaries. Let's go.
Okay. Yeah, thank you. So
All
there's
right, Michael.
something there's something I would like to add. Um, Although anyway, it's still part of time management stuff, because as humans, all of us have different roles we play at different points in time. So for one
Yeah,
person,
we
at
do.
one point at one point in time, you were a at one point in time, every human being will be a toddler. At another point in time, they will be um of course they are a
We
brother,
all
they are
were.
a sister, cousin, whatever. And then as you advance in life, you'll come to the point where you will now become maybe like an employer or a business owner, and you now be a father,
Okay.
mother, a brother, a friend, whatever. You know, see, these things are different roles we are playing in the world, whether we like it or not. These are different roles we are playing. So to somebody, you are a friend. To another person, you are a brother. To another person, you are a sister. To another person, you are a father or a mother. You know,
Mm,
these are just different roles we are playing. So it is very important that you put proper context into all of this role, and put proper arrangements into all of these roles, so that you are properly adjusted when it comes to carrying out your roles in these various positions. For instance, um let's say you're doing something, doing something in your business, and then your son or your daughter needs your attention. you know this will now have you to do proper time management, or how to navigate your way around, balancing the both cases, so that one doesn't suffer for the other. Of course, family is important, so it is now a question of how do you balance it. So in balancing it, there are different things you can do. You can set goals. First, you need to identify this, and this I think is very important for all of us to do on this call. See, everybody listening to this now, if you can do something, just take out time to sit down,
mm.
set
Okay.
out the roles you are playing in this life. And I mean this, like, set out the roles you are playing, to people. And of course, this will now be a question of you looking around yourself. And are you a wife? Are you a father? Are you a husband? If you're a wife, that's a role. If you're a husband, that's a role. If you're a father, that's a role. If you're a mother, that's a role. So take time and sit down, and list out all these roles you are playing, and the people's whose life you are playing these roles. And now know how the next thing you now do is to set goals, or to set priorities in these various roles. Because in doing this, that is the only way you can become time effective, and you can know how to manage yourself across these roles. Because if you don't do this, there'll be a clash. One will want to encroach into the other, seeking your
Yeah,
attention. And
sure.
that's why you see a lot of times these days where people as are thriving at work, they are doing excellently well, but back at home, the family is suffering.
They're doing great. Yeah.
Exactly. So there's a way to balance this. First, you set goals. I took a short note on some of the things you can do. So the first one is to identify the rules, and then set goals, and then schedule, and then adapt daily. So let me talk about scheduling and adapting daily. You see, the thing about scheduling is there is scheduling and there's proper scheduling. So you can let me give I'll use myself as an instance. So the first time I
Sure.
read this book,
Go
I
ahead.
took I took um I took I just went about daily scheduling. So I would come on each day. I'll come and I'll set goals for myself and all those kind of things. Do the normal scheduling we do, and the daily tasks I'm going to do for that day. So what happens is, some days I hit the goals, and of course I'm so excited about it. But some days I'm overwhelmed. I'm like, "Ah, can I
Okay.
even can I even do all of this today?" At the end of the day, I'll start falling short on certain tasks that I won't be able to meet up with them. But Simikovi gave a very important tip in that book, which I think is very necessary, and we all can really use. And he talks about weekly scheduling. So the thing about weekly scheduling is
Mm,
when you schedule for the week, what happens is as you go about each day, you optimize. That's you adapt your schedule for each day. So you're not rigid. It's not a rigid thing to and of course this is where also you have to be intelligent to know when you are procrastinating and when you're just scheduling properly. So when you schedule weekly, you're able to balance things. Okay, for instance, when you're not able to, when you set for the schedule you've done for the week, you look at certain days, and this would enable you to be flexible and to meet up other things. If you're scheduling on a daily, for me, one of the challenges I had scheduling daily is I noticed that a lot of times most of my schedule was about work, work, work. There was barely a time for myself or for other things. But when I scheduled weekly, I'm able to look at the week entirely and see, okay, this and this and this are the things I want to do for the week. And I can prioritize to say, okay, for today, I'm going to hit this, so that tomorrow I can have time for this, and this, and this. On a Monday, I'll do this. On Tuesday, I'll have time for this. On Wednesday, I will have time for this and other things. And also, for a proper balancing, of course, you work and also you have time to relax and just have a good time too. That's the whole essence of balancing this whole thing. So I think that weekly scheduling, as he stated in the book, does magic. I'm talking about personal experience now because I have seen it, I've used it, and it works so well. It works so well that you're able to create that balance, when it comes to, you know,
sure.
carrying out your tasks.
All
Over to
right.
you.
All right. Thank you, Michael. Thank
Yeah.
you for breaking it down this way. And I like the personal instances just put into it. So it's more, it brought it home. Thank you so much. I think also one thing about setting realistic expectations or realistic targets is um, not trying to put yourself under too many pressure. Where you say, okay, I want to really do this. Like, can I really achieve this goal? There's always this thing that happens where we set New Year resolutions, right? And we end
Yeah,
up at the end of the year, you
that
haven't
one
done
is a killer.
anything. So it's more like, so why should I do this every year? Is this thing productive? Doesn't make sense. I must be honest with you, at some point, I was like, this thing doesn't work at some point. But I figured out it's just me setting unrealistic things. Um,
Absolutely.
I'm trying to go from a 10 to 70. Why don't I go to 15 first? Why don't I go to 20 first?
Mm.
And I think that's the same issue many people actually are having right about now. To set up clear cut boundaries, okay, how do I go from 10 to 11, 10 to 15? It's closer than 10 to 70. I think it also happened in business where we just had an outrageous goal. We want to be like the next biggest thing. And after 1 year, we literally did not achieve that goal because we did not do clear cut introspection.
Yeah.
The terrible thing is that it weakened the entire team's morale. And that's the terrible
Mm.
thing actually I faced as the founder of the company. Because I just started seeing people just saying, I think we don't know what you're doing. It's just people see that it's not working. But when people can say, okay, we went from 1 to 2 in 2 months, I think we can go from 2 to 4. But when you
Yeah.
say we can go from 2 to 20, and yet you're still at 2, 1 year has passed, I think nobody wants to stay at those kind of companies, right? So as someone that actually leads a team, it's something I've taken super seriously to grow in bits or grow in sequences. I think
Yeah.
that's about realistic targets, and also
And
the
sorry,
outright ability to say in. Yeah, go
okay,
ahead.
sorry to break your chain of thoughts, please. And
All
in
right, go
addition
ahead.
to what you just said, you know, if you're able to, like, from my own personal experience, I noticed that one of the things that really helped me was I was able to when I realized that when it comes to setting realistic goals, I started with setting soft goals that would give me that morale boost to now do more. So
Uh,
for instance,
I like it. I like
what
it.
I yeah, what that means is I start up in the morning and I want to do a particular thing, and that thing will take me about an hour or so to do, or let's say 30 minutes to do, or let's say an hour. And I'm looking at the task, I'm like, do I even have this time to now sit down and start doing this thing for a whole hour? You know, it can be tedious starting with that. But if
Yeah.
can sit back and, okay, for the first task in the morning, you're saying, okay, set small goals, hit, maybe set like two soft goals that, when you hit it, when you hit those goals, that there's something it does to you. Like for me, for instance, I will start by working out. And it doesn't matter how small, how the little time I spend working out, it does magic. Because when I do that, there's that boost. It comes like, okay, I've done this one. Now I can go into doing other things, because there's that idea that, okay, since I've succeeded in doing this, I set this for today, I've succeeded in doing this, I can go on to do other things. I just thought to add that.
The dopamine effect. Thank you. Yeah, the
Yeah, the
dopamine effect.
dopamine.
Where
Yeah.
yeah, it just as you achieve them in bits, you just feel like, oh, I can eat an elephant.
Yeah.
So once you just see you're having suggestions of progress, you think you can really do the biggest things ever. And I think,
Yeah.
okay, that's actually true. All right. So please drop your questions in the comment section. We want to see it. I see our own coach herself hitting up the comment section. Thank you, Coach Joyce Daniels. We see what you're typing there. He said we need the moral boost that comes from achieving soft goals. Exactly. I think that if Coach JD is saying it, take it to the bank. It works. So that's actually how it is.
That,
So right about now, we just want to just get your questions, drop in the comment section, and let's just know how to. Um, okay, it is a question right here for us, Michael. So it says, so is there a way we can build a system that ensures that we maintain this quadrant? All right, so Michael, is it then definitely? I have a few things to share, but Michael, what
okay.
can people
Yeah,
do?
yeah, there are a lot of things you can do, and one of them is to commit to doing it. Of course, if you cannot, you see, one of the things that is very important in when you want to make progress is the determination and the commitment you have to put into it. So if you're
Okay,
saying, I'm going to do this, and you're not committed to doing it, there is no way you're going to do it. So first of all, there has to be
okay,
that commitment where you now say, okay, this and this, you are determined that your this and this and this are the things that you're going to do. So for instance, you have made up your mind that once I am on a task, especially when I'm on a task that has to do with, work or something else, or like, I know people who, when it's family time, it's family time. They don't care what is coming. Even if it's $1 million deal, they'll tell you, it's my family time. I'm spending time with my family. I know people who do that. So you see, this is a determination, because now they are trying to. These are people who have thriving businesses, and they are trying to create a balance for their life. So they're trying to thrive in business and also not make the family home to suffer. So, because of course it's a priority to them. For somebody else, that might not be a priority. So it depends on what your priorities are. So the system is, now you can build this. First, you have to have that determination, and then you can now implement some of these things we are talking about the quadrants. Now properly assigning roles into the different quadrants and sticking to them. Of course, there are certain times when you look at certain, you evolve, and some roles will now have to change, or some things will now have to change, which you keep adjusting. When you do this thing, when you assign tasks to those quadrants, it is not as static as that. No. Sometimes, as you evolve, things will change, and some priorities will have to now
yeah,
shift. So, as you're evolving, you're
all right.
shifting, you're changing, you're making all the changes
Sure.
you need. Yeah. Thank
All
you.
right, thank you, Michael. We barely have 20 minutes to the end of this, and we want to actually beat the time. That's the goal. So for me, I want to use myself as a case study here. So I spoke about how I don't like doing calls, right? And when I do calls with you, I want to just spend great time with you, so you know that I'm just not trying to rush the moment with you. So what I do is, first of all, I built a system for dividing those in my life. So I have a different contact process for family. I have a different contact process with everybody else. And that's different from my business contact. Like I have a different ways of contacting me, of course. So I have a special contact process for just family alone, and nobody else has that contact except family. And I told them, please make sure this doesn't go out. So that's my way to make sure
Yeah.
whenever that phone rings, I get an SMS. I know it's family, and it could be an emergency or could just be a notification. But I just know I have to just pay attention because family is important to me. It's one of my major
Yeah.
values. I take them quite seriously. But for not business this time, but like family and for like friends and acquaintances, I use this tool called Calendly. So if you really want to have a call with me, I know you have to have a call with me. I just say, please choose a time that works for my calendar. And when you see it, it's been like 1 hour in an entire week. And you're like, wow, are you this busy? And actually, yes, I can be that uptight. But
Yeah.
I think when you now see how tight it is, you'll be like, let me just text you this thing and let me tell you what it is. I need a quicker response than having to just say, can I call you now? And it's just like me trying to catch up with what happened in my college days. So that's actually one way I tend to prioritize. There's a separate line for family, there's one for friend and acquaintances. And for that one for acquaintances, either you text me as soon as possible so I know what it is, or you wait for that time so we can jump on the call. But I would not
Yeah.
deprive you of not having a call with me. I think that would just spoil everything. So I think that way I've been able to um
Yeah.
what's it
That
called,
works.
categorically explain how I use it in my own personal life and how I make sure I stay within the second quadrant as much as possible.
Yeah.
So right about now, one more question I will go. If you have more question, I think we just want to do two questions. But in the meantime, I would just want you to, if there's any word you have for our audience, like they've had so much today, they've been so much you've shared or we have shared. So is there a something you must go home with? Is there one thing you want them to really have as a take home? For me, I have an ideology that whatever I learn, that I don't do something small about it in 24 hours, something is wrong somewhere. That means I don't even need that information in the first place. Because whatever I
Mm.
learn, I try to make sure there's something small I do as regards what I just learned. I may not do everything, but at least I just start something small. So right about now, is there something they can start in 24 hours, something they can do to just make sure they prioritize better? They have a way to okay. Michael said, isn't that too strict? A can you build a bond
Bond.
through that system?
A
Just
bond through that system.
uh okay, bond. So that's the thing. It's family, right? Family is something I take seriously. But if I think if you should text me as soon as possible. Um, because in number of the way we have this Pareto principle that 20% of the calls you do give you 80% of the result. I think it works everywhere around life in the sense
Yes,
that
actually.
it's not the volume of calls, it's the quality of conversations, right? So some friends and acquaintances just want to just catch cruise with you.
Chat.
And nice, I want to do it with you, but this is not the right time. I think I can do it over a text. Like, hey, how you doing, man? What's up? How's your family and children? And that's all it. But I don't think it should break the bond. It just makes everybody knows that we are working on different things. And I love you, I appreciate you, but let's respect our boundaries. I think the kind of people I have around my circle are those that literally respect boundaries also. So I don't find it terrible. And I think it's something everybody should have, where you have people that respect your time and the things you share with them. So whenever it's a conversation, it's something that makes a lot of sense. If it's just hello, hi, I can do chats with you. For for a phone call, I know it has to make sense. It has to make sense. So yeah,
And that
so
is
that's
that is,
actually
that is so
because
true.
I know myself.
Yeah.
I know myself. I could overshare. I could stay on a call for 2 3 hours, and I wouldn't want to do that and feel like I've wasted a major part of my day. So right about now, we really are running out of time. It's about 17 minutes to go to the end of this. But thank you, Michael, for your questions. I think they are really hot and they are mind boggling. I thank you for bringing this forward. So
So,
right about now,
sir,
Michael.
before you go ahead on the next question, let me just say one or two concerning this Chris's questions. This Michael's question. So,
All right.
you see, the thing
Yes, go
is,
ahead. Hit me.
if one has to be careful, and why I say you have to be careful now when you're trying to go from one step to another, because then you now have to look at yourself. So, and this is, sometimes coming up with these kind of things can seem selfish, but actually they are not. Of course, who is not selfish? Who is not? For you to really go far in this life, there needs to be some atom of selfishness, because of course you doing all these things and prioritizing is putting yourself first to get the best outcome, so that you can even be able to help others as much as you want to help. So the time you spend chit chatting, and especially when you want to please people, that becomes a problem,
Mm,
because now it is
I love that. I love that.
I I now have to get on a call with this person. Oh, I really need to. I want to get it on a call because you are trying to satisfy them. You know, not looking at yourself and really what you want to achieve. And you see that the time you spend on that call might even encroach into the time you would have used on other things. When you
Sure.
let's say you're doing something, let's say you are working on a business project at that point in time, and that call comes in. You see that you leave that and you go on get on the call. As soon as you're done with the call, you go ahead to go to finish up the business project you're doing, which would have encroached into the time you would have spent for something else. Are
Sure.
you seeing?
Sure.
So break the idea of, you have to grow past that idea of people pleasing, and look at yourself and prioritize and hold on to it. Like, you have to hold on to, because, and I see the next question where Michael is asking if there's no place for compromising. Sometimes compromising might come in, but it shouldn't be always. It shouldn't be always, because if it becomes a habit, then there is literally nothing you are going to achieve. Because of course, every time you keep compromising, when that call comes in, this guy again, or this lady again, I have to answer, and you answer. So I just thought to share that. Yes. Over
All
to
right.
you,
Thank
though.
you, Michael. That was a well-defined response. Thank you for bringing that stew into into the mix. Makes a lot of sense. Right about now, you have. Thank you for the questions, everybody. We see what you're sending. So good for something. Someone said I didn't get that stuff on
Yeah,
screen.
I said to
But
go
yeah,
far. This is what I mentioned earlier. Yeah, okay.
matter of selfishness. Yeah, basically, I think it's called. If I can give more if I self-develop. So if I really decide to develop myself, that's when I can even be of value to you. If I give you from what I really have right now, it may not be the best you want to get. So having an ability to say no, or to defer conversations, or to rechannel tasks, I think is a superpower. Right about now, our time is really running, and I wouldn't want us to stay here for too long. Right now, do you have any parting words right now? Any final words? Any key points that you can go home with and execute? Please share with us, please,
Okay, yeah,
Michael.
yeah. This is something that I think I learned this from PK, Pastor Kole Sorin, when I attended one of his programs, and he was talking about, when you get on a, because when you got on a program and you're trying to, take notes. What happens most times when we come on a program like this, or when we attend seminars or events, we tend to, we are scribbling punchlines. The For you to for you to hit the mountaintop, you have to pass through some milestones. That's a punchline. For you to hit the mountaintop, you need to pass through some you start
You're very
you
funny.
start you start scribbling you start scribbling punchlines, and at the end of the day, after writing down those punchlines, it has little or no effect to what we are trying to achieve. So and he mentioned something very profound that has really helped my life ever since I started doing it. When I come on things like
Okay.
this, I take bullet points of what I should do, what I should not do, what I'll be doing going forward, what I'll not be doing going forward. So the essence of what I'm saying in essence is, for everything we have said here today, it's all about, for it to make sense, for it to, and I've seen, yeah, Angela Uche is saying making sense, for it to make sense of everything we have done here today, for it to make sense to you, and for it to really impact you, or for you to see results from it, you have to now take out time to do, what am I going to do, what am I not going to do going forward. So from today, I'm going to do this. From today, for instance, from today, no more chit chatting uh, when I'm on whatever it is you is a priority to you. I would, you know assigning tasks properly.
Those this
This is what
this
I'm going
this
to
and
do.
this. All right.
This exactly, so
I
that
think that's it.
nothing comes in.
Yeah, thank you. That's a very actionable way to live. Where you're not just taking notes, you're taking action points
Action
even as
points.
you're
Yeah.
taking notes. So I think for me, if I use the paperback or using a book, I just divide it into two. So by the right, I write down things I must do in 24 hours at least I can start with. While I
So
write the entire um what's it called? Buzzwords on the right, on the right, yeah? On the left, sorry. But my right, when I divide the book, I tend to write down what exactly I must do in 24 hours to start with. Yeah. So I think that answers. For me, it's also I'm validating what Michael said. That yes, I think that's the way to go from calls like this. What about now? About the end of about to end this, and I just want to leave us with thank you to JD. I can see everybody from um Solar, so Chetachuku, everybody, Coach JD. I see all our comments. Yes, thank you so much. Thanks for the MS making sense. Thank you.
Making
So what
sense.
about
Yeah.
now? We about the end of this, and I want to just leave us with story. But before we get to the end of the story, make sure you like this YouTube channel, you subscribe to this YouTube channel. You are very much a part of the GD community. There's so much happening on the Wiser community. Um, Coach JD has a repository of resources you can learn from. You can literally just binge watch our YouTube channel and just get so much value from it. Then you can be a part of our community, part of our email list. You can follow on Instagram, join the channels, and you see all the magic that happens on our posts. It's such a joy to share, to be on our platform. This is such an honor. So, Coach JD, wherever you are in the world, we are saying a big thank you to you. From me and Michael, we're saying thank you. So, what about now? Just to make sure we end this, leave out a story and we'll sign out from this. We'll make sure we don't exceed our time. There was a story about the university professor that gathered the entire students in the lab, and yeah, he brought out a jar. I don't know if you know what a jar is. Like, it has a more broader base and it has a smaller top. If you did sciences, there's something called something conical flask or something. Yeah,
Yeah.
these in sciences. So it was about he brought in some rocks, some pebbles, and some sand. So yeah, he added the rocks into the jar first and got to the brim. He asked the students, "Is it full?" He said yes. He said, "Give me a minute." Then he added the pebbles and he had to shake the jar. And he figured out that the pebbles started fitting into different sides of the jar because it's a rocks, right? So rock don't occupy everything. They only spaces in different places. So by the time it was done, he asked the students, "Is this thing full right now?" Because it now has pebbles and rocks in it. And they said yes. He said, "Give me a minute." Then he now added the sand to it. I mean, uh, funny enough, there was this space for the sand. So by the time it was done, he had the rocks in it, pebbles in it, and sands in it. I think this is exactly what my take home is, or every point for myself. Sometimes we start our life putting in sands first instead of rocks. And I'll explain what the rocks are. The rocks are yourself, the rocks are your family, the rocks are your friends. The
A
things
very
that even
important thing.
when everything failed, you fall back to.
Yeah.
That's actually what your rocks in your life. So your job, your career are the pebbles. Then chit chat conversations, rivalries are the sand. So I would always recommend um, at every point in time. Okay, thank you, JD. Thank you so much for this. All right. So it makes a lot of sense when you start this is your prioritizing journey by putting the rocks in first. Know what the biggest frogs are for you to eat from. It's such a joy to be on this platform on the 6th of May 2024. Michael, if there's anything you have to say, but for me, I think it's about time to sign out.
Well, I
There's
have
nothing else on my table.
and I have nothing more to say than to just appreciate everyone, and I hope we've taken away we are taking away very important nuggets, and going forward we are just going to be implementing and seeing ourselves growing. Of course, we are wiser. We don't have any
Yeah,
choice
we're
than
wiser.
to do the wiser thing, which is to keep on keep on being great, keep on doing the things that we need to do, setting our priorities right, pursuing our goals as much as possible, till we see each other at the top. So I appreciate you, Chris, and
All
thank
right.
you, JD, and thank you
Thank
the
you, everybody.
team for putting
All
this
right.
together. Thank you.
Yeah. All right. Thank you. Remember to put first things first. Prioritize. As I mentioned, put the rocks in first, not the pebbles, not the sand. Put first things first. Prioritize. Make sure you walk around the quadrant two. That is where the magic happens. Try to stay within the
Yeah.
quadrant two as much as possible. Then right about now to say a big thank you to everybody. Someone said wisdom guys. Thank you for that. I saw it. Yeah, thank you for that. Yeah, we are a wiser family. So yeah, there's so much wisdom flowing out. So thank you, everybody. Messi, Frank,
Thank you.
um, and the names I see on the screen. I'm just trying to make sure I follow and greet everybody. I may not get to everybody, but definitely I see you and I'm grateful for Emmanuel Eze. Thank you for being here. Yes, we are wiser. MC Love Diamond, you killed it. We know who you are on the back end. Thank you so much. The
Thank you.
mechanic, Michael Okorie, Queen Esther. Thank you so much, Liko. Thank you so much, everybody. And Angela Uche, you guys are making magic happen wherever you are. So at this point in time, my name is Chris Ogechi. I'm the founder of Click and the things I do. And also, this is Michael Okore. He's one of the phenomenal coaches in the country and in Africa. So at this point in time, we'll say thank you for being a part of this session. And until next time, let's see you again in June because it's gonna be a remarkable month for us.
Time. Yeah,
But for the
absolutely.
most part, let's make the most of May. May still has about 24 days in it or 25 days, 23 days in
Yeah.
it, whatever it is. So let's make the most of this month. At this point, thank you. Until next time, we will catch up with you again. All right.
Bye.
Let's have
Bye,
a great
everyone.
bye. Everyone,
Bye.
till
Yeah.
June. Thank you.
Yes. Thank you.